Well, let's have a look now at this ominous threat from the UK Crown Prosecution Service to free speech. They've warned citizens to think before they post. This does appear to be a major attack on free speech, with comedian Rowan Atkinson among those speaking out against it. Let's bring in now Sky News contributor Kosha Gada to discuss this. Kosha, good to see you again. Look, how serious is this and how concerning is this censorship of free speech in the UK?
Very concerning, very chilling, some would say. And George Orwell was English, and he wrote about a version of this in 1984, and some would say he was very prescient. It's, quite remarkable how countries in the West, starting with the UK and, many, the US, Australia, others have come out of that freedom basically philosophy that they came into after 6,000 years of human experiments. It was sort of the best system that's come out of England and most of the countries around it. And to see this happening there is quite stunning. I think the reason is the upstream problem over here is the level and quantum and speed of immigration that has been allowed into the country, coupled with poor and unequal application of the law. That has led to this pressure cooker environment, which at any time can explode, as it did because of those atrocious stabbings. It's really hard to unscramble the egg of immigration policy and law and order policy. And so the easier thing to do is to try and put a lid on the pressure cooker in the form of censorship and infringement on civil liberties. And so I think it's unfortunately a predictable consequence, but it really is quite stunning when you see it in a country like the UK.
It truly is. We're going to continue to cover this topic throughout my shows this week. But for now, Kosha, let's have a look at the US. Left-wing media outlets are trying to defend Kamala Harris since she's gone to ground. As we know, she's refused to give a press conference or a serious sit-down interview. MSNBC's Michael Steele defended it. Have a look.
What has struck me since Donald Trump's press conference is sort of the highbrow nature of the press coming at Kamala Harris, saying, well, she, in my view, whining that she doesn't talk to us. She hasn't done a sit down with us. She hasn't done interviews with us. Right now, is there a real need for her to sort of, get the imprimatur of the press on her campaign?
I mean, this is a serious issue. A presidential nominee surely needs to be open for scrutiny, Kosha, especially when she missed all the debates.
So true. It's very frustrating, for citizens, for voters that are trying to ascertain how to cast their vote and who stands for what they stand for and who is going to set the country on the right direction. But if that's the question being asked, absolutely, it's very frustrating. I think where Michael Steele is right, as much as we hate to say it, is if the question is, what does it take for a candidate like Kamala Harris to win this race and run out the clock with 80 days left to go and the circumstances under which she arrived in the position of being the nominee, then some would say, actually, this is exactly the correct strategy for her. The question remains, 80 days is a lifetime in politics, and will that frustration from the press, as favorable as they are to her, get to a point where it makes them look very foolish and they're going to force it? Or will Team Trump be able to somehow force her into an unscripted moment with a debate or something like that? Other than that, I think this is very clear that this is her strategy and she's going to continue running with it.
Yeah, indeed. Now, let's have a look at the claims by the Donald Trump campaign team that they've been hacked by Iran. This came after Politico received campaign documents via an anonymous email. This included a dossier on J.D. Vance. Now, Kosha, a Trump campaign spokesman said the documents were illegally obtained by foreign sources hostile to the US. Iran has denied responsibility. That's neither here nor there. Do you think, though, that there is credible reason for the Trump campaign to suspect that Iran might have been behind this leak?
It's possible. There are many, many opponents to the Trump campaign, and it's kind of remarkable how many battlefronts he has to fight on, both with domestic institutions that are against him as well as foreign. But I think it's been, widely held view ever since he entered the political arena that a lot of these countries, be it Iran, be it China, be it whoever, they are less inclined to be supportive of a Trump presidency because he's unpredictable, he's, a bit brash, he is very America first, and that may or may not align with somebody certainly like Iran, but even other countries, whereas the other side seems to be a little bit more controlled or controllable. So I think it's not outside the realm of possibility. Who knows? I think this is being stitched together from a statement Microsoft put out there suggesting Iran was a bad actor in something like this a couple of months ago, and then U.S. security sources are also confirming it. Certainly a possibility.
And what do you think the polls are now telling us about Kamala Harris v. Trump? And given the polls are showing that she has a chance at winning, was the move to replace Biden with her a good one?
It would seem that way for now, where she, number one, definitely stemmed the tide of the cratering that was happening with Biden after that disastrous debate. So that was one issue where diehard Democrats were even abandoning him. They have come back home. So I would say that's a tick in her column. The second thing about the battleground states, the swing states, it certainly seems like it's tightening. There is momentum for her. But it's still, I think the jury is out on how this is going to go. It's going to be super close. But for now, it's certainly better than the alternative, which was Biden in their case.
All right. Kosha Gada, thank you so much for your time.